Hello and welcome to Bodmin Live, here from the Cornwall Channel Studios in the centre of Bodmin Moor. This evening's discussion is going to be about the Internet of Things. I'm Russell Cosway, I'm your host, and tonight I have Rob Cartwright from local company, high-tech company Ver Facil. Now I'm going to get on to the company later and what you actually do, Rob, but let's go straight in. And Internet of Things. I know what the Internet is. Could you explain what the Internet of Things is?
Effectively, the Internet of Things is the idea of connecting devices, the things, to the Internet. So
sounds easy.
Sounds nice and easy, yeah. And if you think that from a consumer point of view, that could be, connected fridges, connected kettles. The idea of actually having a fridge connected to the Internet so you can get useful data out of that, whether that's energy data or what the contents of the fridge are, which is where it's going.
Is it?
And that's from a consumer side, that would be Internet of Things technologies. What we're focused on is commercial Internet of Things, so it's connecting machines and devices to the Internet, so we can actually get useful data out for our clients.
Okay, so we say the Internet, and we're very familiar perhaps with broadband in our homes. We might be familiar with some form of lease line arrangements in businesses and Wi-Fi in the buildings. Is that what you're talking about you deal with?
To get the actual device to the Internet, we can use a range of technologies. So typically in a house, we'd make use of the Wi-Fi because the Wi-Fi is actually there, and you wouldn't tend to use another technology like cellular with a SIM card because you've got an existing Wi-Fi network. In a commercial environment, an office where there's Wi-Fi available, you might use Wi-Fi for the Internet of Things to get those devices connected. If you're outside and you're away from a Wi-Fi connection, you might then need to use cellular, so you're using the SIM card and the cellular network of your carriers. But also, we use, especially here in Cornwall, we're using a technology called LoRaWAN, which stands for long range, and it's a long range technology, it's a radio technology.
Right.
So we're not using a SIM card or a Wi-Fi, we're using radio signals to get to the sensors, again, to connect them to the Internet. So it's not the technology of how you get it there. The Internet of Things is what you can connect and what useful data can you get from those devices.
Okay, so obviously there's this huge boom in internet connected devices, let's call it that for the second. I read recently, the last figure I saw was 10 billion on Earth. It was 8 billion 3 years ago. Yeah. So this is growing at an alarming rate. What when you say you don't work in the domestic, is the growth more commercial? Or?
Yeah, you're certainly getting the actual the estimate was 50 billion. We were doing 50 billion last year.
Really?
Sorry, 2 years ago. So the estimate was 50 billion, and it really just didn't get that far.
No.
And part of that is the uptake on the consumer side. For why should I connect my kettle to the Internet? Because that's what they predicted, and that's where the growth would have been. But really, you've seen the growth commercially and industrially, so connected factories. And you see a lot of factories with connected machines, so the machine actually tells then, when it's running out of parts and maybe orders its own parts. That's the reason we're doing it. On our side, what we're doing from here in Bodmin, from our office, we are helping our clients to connect their devices. And a device to our client might be a whole machine. So that could be a water booster plant or a ventilation plant, which wasn't connected before, and there was no visibility, there's no remote visibility of that. We engineer a solution for that to get that machine onto a cloud service to start gathering data. And that could be data for servicing, for real-time alerts, and then what we actually then do is start looking at machine learning to really understand how the machine's working to then do predictive maintenance.
Okay, so you've thrown a lot of things in there. When we're saying the cloud, we're talking about large-scale storage of information. Are we talking about?
When we talk cloud, we're effectively talking the Internet. Yeah, so we're using the Internet as the connectivity side of the solution. The cloud tends to be the service, the storage, and then the data visualization platforms. So it's what the client sees. So all of the part that we do, essentially the client's not interested in.
Yeah.
All the hard work that we do, they're not interested in. What they are looking for is the data visualization package where they can see the dials, they can see the graphs, the logged data. Yeah. That's the cloud to us. Yeah.
Okay. And then you mentioned another phrase, machine learning.
Yeah.
Now, of course, AI is the thing, isn't it? Surely machine learning. What's machine learning and difference?
Same thing. Yeah, same thing.
Oh,
so,
right.
so
why do you use machine learning?
So artificial intelligence is a broad range of AI for self-driving cars, things like that. Actually, behind all that is machine learning. So machine learning is the nuts and bolts of AI. To us, machine learning is the correct phrase because it's a machine that we're monitoring. So we're connecting our clients' machines to a cloud service. We're using then learning or machine learning to analyze that data to do the predictive maintenance or to effectively say how efficiently is that plant running. And that's what the machine learned. And we've got two elements as well. We've got machine learning in the cloud and we've got machine learning on the device, which we call the edge. Yeah.
Okay. Let's pull back from let's pull back from the edge. Because there's a danger. There's too much terminology for such a show as ours. Yeah. So let's just. Can you give me perhaps something? I'm thinking, you mentioned fridge, so I'm constantly thinking fridge, and which you could monitor temperatures. You could probably monitor temperature inside and outside perhaps tell you if the motor's running hot or stuff like that. You don't do domestic.
Nope.
Can you tell me something that illustrate what you do?
Yeah, so really for us, working in a commercial, because we are a commercial Internet of Things provider, one of the largest projects we've got here in Cornwall is street lighting. So, so what we've actually done is created an Internet of Things network across the whole county with this LoRaWAN technology, with the antennas. There's 500 antennas across the county, and that allows us to pick up hundreds of thousands of devices. And the first 55,000 are the streetlights. So effectively the streetlights are the IoT devices. That allows us to pick up energy data, so we know exactly the energy consumption of all the streetlights, how to maximise the energy efficiency of that, to reschedule the times. That's a very simple solution for us. We have, to give you an idea, we have sensors in the road gullies, in the drains, in Parr, St Blaise, St Austell, and they pick up not only the water level, so we can monitor if the drain's flooded, but also the silt build-up. Yeah. Okay. So when you talk about Internet of Things, the things are the sensors that we've got in the drains. Yeah. And the useful outcome to the client is they can actually see, rather than go to a drain on a specific schedule in time to then clean it, it might actually be empty. Yeah. Yeah. Whereas another drain might have filled up earlier and is flooded and the road's flooding. So we're using Internet of Things devices and technology to effectively assist and be more efficient in drain cleaning. So the project's called Digital Drains, and the actual Internet of Things network is called Smart Kerner.
It's kind of a bit bonkers, digital drainage. You wouldn't have thought it needed digitising. Which kind of that are we looking at now the real digital revolution?
Yes.
Is that what we're looking at now?
And yes, we are. I mean, for that exactly what you said there. We didn't think the drains needed digitising or have digital drains, but you see the benefit. So for the operator, for the management of those drains, if first of all we give them the data, say, well, you can see in the cloud, you can see on the data visualization platform that those drains are already clean. You don't need to go to them. That saves on all the traffic management and that's a cost saving. The ones that are already full, you can see to go earlier. Yeah. We then add machine learning and actually then predict when that one's going to be full. That's where it starts to become. But you can't do the machine learning. You can't do the AI, the artificial intelligence, without the IoT devices. You need the IoT devices first in that first step. Yeah.
And presumably with with that data, you can cross over other data. You could cross over other IoT devices like
Rainfall, yes,
and possibly any data you get from
groundwater level.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're working on a project on groundwater level,
All right.
where effectively, from a planning point of view, so if Cornwall Council want to provide planning, the first thing from a developer, they need to do a groundwater level survey. And traditionally, someone physically has to go and check the groundwater level like once a month for 12 months. If they went on a day when it was okay, they'd constantly say, the groundwater was fine, yeah? But not actually seeing the point where it's risen to its critical level. It might have missed it. So we use IoT devices to monitor the groundwater level and actually give that out across this network on an hourly basis. Yeah? Okay.
All right. So that would make the data more efficient and make planning decisions more informed,
more accurate,
and they could make better judgment calls in how they plan.
Now, think when you do that,
drainage and stuff.
when you do that across all of Cornwall, and you've got all of the data for all of the groundwater, that's when you apply machine learning again, and then you predict where the water is going to be, and you look at the rainfall, and you look at the weather, and you bring all of that in, and that's when you make really informed decisions on where it's actually going to flood. It's raining over there, but actually, from the model shows that in 3 days, it floods over there, because we've seen this, and we've seen it again, and we've seen it again. That's the power of the Internet of Things.
Okay, I mean, starting getting the feel for it. Let's carry on. We're on the building site. They've decided they're going to build.
Yeah.
I think we talked earlier about solutions you're putting in before the house is built.
Yeah. So the difficulty from a construction point of view is any infrastructure that you want for, say, fire protection, smoke detectors, things like that. They only go in afterwards.
Yeah.
So as it's a building site, how do you put these things? So this is where Internet of Things devices come in again, because we can flexibly deploy smoke detectors or security devices into a construction site.
Right.
So if there's an issue, they see it whilst it's being built, not after it's been built. Yeah. One of the really good solutions we put in is water metering. So as a large high-rise building is being built, and they put a water booster in, and then they're pressurising that water throughout the pipework that's only just been installed.
Yeah.
During the week, if they spot a leak, it's okay.
Yeah.
But what happens at the weekend? And what we find is construction clients coming to us and saying, well, how do we spot that at the weekend? We come on a Monday and it's pouring down through the rises down the stairs. So what we actually do is, with Internet of Things devices, we monitor the water, and if on a Friday at 5 o'clock they say construction site's closed, any water movement we pick up with the sensors, and we shut everything down, and we alert the developers and say, you've got a potential leak there. Okay?
This is incredibly powerful technology. Is there anything to be worried about? This sounds like Big Brother without the cameras, or maybe with the cameras. You're going to tell me something else in a minute.
Internet of Things could be cameras. Yeah, we certainly don't do cameras. We're the opposite end of the data spectrum, let's say, because most of our devices are very, very small amounts of data, because we're only tending, whether a drain is flooded, not flooded.
Okay.
Not streaming video. But there's certainly, it's not a Big Brother in that sense. You could, if we say we have people counters. So at one of Cornwall's famous gardens, we have people counters there. In fact, we've actually got quite a lot. We've got quite a lot of Internet of Things devices at this garden. The first one we put in was anemometers, wind speed.
Okay.
Because what they had to do was look at the weather. If the weather said it was going to be windy, they'd close the car park and close the site, whether it was windy or not, because the weather forecast said it was going to be windy.
Oh, okay.
And what they'd find is they'd close, but it was calm. So we put anemometers in three sites across the gardens, and we accurately predict. We can accurately say, is it windy enough or not to close? So we started there.
Yeah.
We then started putting in things like people counters, and we know if somebody's going into wildflower garden. We've created a wildflower garden.
Yeah.
Is it being used?
Yeah.
And that's what, so these are Internet of Things devices. We've gone on from that. We're now tracking the, might give it away, we're tracking the water flow through a valley where beavers are going to be introduced. Before beavers introduced, and this goes into a lot of issues around Cornwall with flooding and maybe downpours, so climate change, heavy rainfall, gushes down a valley, floods through the valley, rips everything through it.
Yeah.
So the introduction of beavers, this idea of slowing the water down with dams, before this happens, we've put monitoring devices in. So we're using the Internet of Things devices to monitor water flow through in specific locations in that valley before the beavers.
And then you can see the effect of the beavers.
We can see the effects after, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Is there any limit to what you can monitor?
No is a simple answer.
Okay.
No is the simple answer because that there's only a few applications there. And we're working with things like rivers trust in rivers, water quality, river levels, with the airport for energy. We do a lot of energy monitoring. So where it's very difficult.
It's a very expensive resource.
It is, yeah, especially now. It's getting worse. So where it's very difficult to retrofit equipment, we use IoT devices to collect data from energy meters. At the airport, we collect from 70 electric meters, from 70 water meters. We're using all the things there, and for other councils outside of Cornwall, we're picking up a lot of their energy meters because it's part of what they're calling their decarbonisation. Yeah. So they're looking to decarbonise their assets.
Yes.
Before they do so, they need to monitor the energy. So we put all these IoT devices.
First, understand your problem, and then you can work where you're going to fix it. Yeah.
But it goes from industrial things like that, but also agriculture. Do a lot in agriculture, soil moisture. We have sensors for soil moisture.
Okay.
For nitrates.
Really?
I mean, we're very horizontal in our markets. We're not a specific vertical market. We go across agriculture, from industry, commercial. Yeah.
Just had a comment from Michelle, who's actually asked, what about being able to sniff out or sense pollution in our waters, reservoirs, etc.?
Yes, so we do have water quality. Good question, because it's something I'm passionate about myself as well, especially CSOs, so combined sewer outlets, and obviously a lot more frequent releasing of sewage. So it's something we're keen on looking at. So we do have Internet of Things devices for monitoring water quality, so water flow and water quality itself, nitrates and pollution. We've already got quite a lot of that deployed. We're looking now at solutions where, and this is big thinking now. So the idea of a CSO is a combined sewer outlet. So it's rainwater from people's houses and from car parks going to the sewers. It was designed in the Victorian times, and we've stuck with it. So what we're actually looking at doing is using IoT devices to monitor rainfall on people's houses and how that could be stored or slowed down. So stored in, think of a rainwater, a bucket or a tub, but on a big scale, a tank. Yeah? So a tank at every single residence to at least capture as much as possible when it's, but then slowly release it. And that slow release allows CSOs, combined sewer outlets, to effectively manage that. So they don't have these huge, Wow. This is where Internet of Things really comes into its own, because you are connecting many, many, many devices. Yeah? And as you connect all these different devices across all of Cornwall, you get a much better picture of how to manage, whether it's flooding in roads, whether it's CSO outlets into the river of sewage. Yeah? The more you can see what's going on, the more you can then take action to resolve the issues.
That's brilliant. Thanks for that question, Michelle. So
that was a short answer.
Yeah, you could have been a lot longer. So let's just turn our attention a little bit to Ver Facil. What do you do exactly how would you describe yourself?
Okay, always a tricky one.
Yeah.
So, because we're multifaceted in some ways, we are essentially a commercial Internet of Things business. What that means is we are a remote monitoring business. We remotely monitor people's assets and devices in any format. So we have, for example, 600 large heating ventilation systems, what we call building management systems, BMS, across the UK, and we monitor those via a cellular network. So we use cellular networks to get all of that data to our cloud, and we see them visually. In Cornwall, we've got the LoRaWAN network, which is the radio network, and it's got the street lights, the traffic pollution sensors, the drain sensors, sensors in farmers' fields. There's all those sides. We also monitor things with another technology, called NB-IoT, which is
you're definitely going to explain that one.
So it's Internet of Things. It's low power, but it's on the cellular network. Okay. And then we also use broadband and Wi-Fi technologies.
Okay.
Yeah. Really, it's not if a client comes to us with a customer pain, or something that they're trying to monitor, or just a solution they're trying to get to, we just apply the most effective technology to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? And in most cases, we need to design it ourselves. So we design in-house. We've got electronic engineering, so we can design electronic circuits.
Right.
We can design PCBs, the printed circuit boards, so we can actually manufacture the devices ourselves. In-house 3D design and 3D printing, so we 3D print cases in-house.
Okay.
We do all the coding inside. We do all the network provision, the network management. Yeah? So we actually offer end-to-end solutions for remote monitoring.
Presumably to the larger...
The larger the better.
The larger the better. So you've been talking about 55,000 sensors, presumably with Cornwall Council.
Yeah.
And I think you mentioned some of the other rather fantastical things. I can't. We've spoken on a number of occasions.
Yeah. Well,
you've thrown so many use cases at me. I've been amazed at all of them. What's the one you're probably proudest of?
All of them. Honestly, there's so many different verticals. That we do. We enjoy them because we really enjoy what we do.
Yeah,
the whole team.
Can see that.
We do. Because every day it's something different.
Yeah.
So we've just recently, just now, we've started a project where we're monitoring wind turbines. So this is a large-scale wind farm, and we're not monitoring the turbines, the power output, not that side. That gets done anyway.
Yeah.
We're monitoring the actual unit itself, the components, when they're leaving the factory and when they're on the transport on the truck, and when they're in the dockyard. We're monitoring for preservation of that equipment. So temperature, humidity, corrosion, shock, whether the crane driver's knocked the device into the wall as he was taking it off. We monitor those with small Internet of Things IoT devices, bring all that back and do real-time alerts to the owners of the turbine to say, that had a shock of 20 G at 4 o'clock yesterday. Yeah. So then they can investigate, or that the electrics are going to corrode. So
because it's too damp, or
because it's too damp because of humidity. We've got mold index sensors in houses. So in social housing, we've got what looks like a smoke detector, and we pick up temperature, humidity, and mold index. So if the sensor picks up mold on the wall, for the tenant, that's useful information for them. But for the landlord, it's about preservation of their asset. So before it deteriorates too much, they can step in and say, okay, maybe the tenant has an issue with heating. It stems right through to maybe they can't afford the heating, so they turn the heating off. It cools, the relative humidity goes up, the mold starts growing.
Yeah.
The landlord has got an opportunity to step in early and actually then say, okay, maybe through a social prescription of heating, get the heating on. Tenants better, their assets better. Everything's
because obviously a mouldy house.
These are the examples of where we've got devices, our Internet of Things devices, doing real sort of useful projects.
It's fantastical where this could go if this kind of data was available to, the NHS. They could find out if the asthma sufferer was being affected by mould in their house, or Okay. This is kind of boggling in its magnitude.
Yeah.
And the options. What would you say to any business that's looking at the IoT as an option?
Well,
is it something they should look at?
bizarrely, they might not be looking at IoT because they don't know what it is.
No.
So it's not like they're looking at what they've got. Is just they've got a customer pain. They've got a need, and what we do is talk to our clients about what are you trying to achieve.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. We worked with a cheese manufacturer who effectively are paying for water to come in. So they're paying for the water to come in, but they actually pay for the water to go out because they're not on a main sewer, so it's extracted. So they pay for that extraction. So to keep an eye on the level of their water storage tanks is critical to them. Mm-hmm. So they go out 3 times a day, any weather, across the car park, lift the manhole, dip it with a stick.
Yikes.
So we put a level sensor in there, an ultrasonic level. We tell them exactly what the level is on a platform, so they can sit in the warmth of the office and see exactly the level. Not only do they not have to go outside, but they can predict accurately when to do the extraction. So they can match. That's really cut down the cost of the extraction. But also, we then monitored what was going in, and we captured the fact that they were wasting water going in. So to fill a 5,000 litre tank of water, they were using maybe 6,000 or 7,000 litres because they were just letting it overflow. They were paying for it to come in, it overflows out into the thing, and they pay for it to go out. And we accurately capture that and then really bring the cost down. We then go into things like the cheese maturation stores, temperature, humidity, and that's where the cheese is maturing over 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
When later they identify that cheese was a really good vintage cheese, we've got the data to say, well, that's what the conditions were.
That's what
recreate
happened.
those conditions, and you've got that vintage cheese again.
Okay.
That's the power.
So,
and these are all projects. These are live. These are not hypothetical ones. These are actually projects that we're doing or have already done.
Yeah, and so the problem is going to be, where do you stop, I suppose, or where do you start? First, if you've got a customer problem, then perhaps come and talk to you, or
I mean, a recent example was we had a ventilation company come to us, and they've got they're selling they manufacture their equipment, and it goes out, and they want better visibility of that. Mm-hmm. From a maintenance point of view, what's the performance of that? If it's to improve performance, improve efficiencies, how can we do it? And they came to us as a remote monitoring business, and then we effectively do an end-to-end solution for remote monitoring that device of theirs. Yeah, that thing. Yeah. So their thing is a ventilation plant, and we apply the internet to that. We attach it to the internet, so their thing is now on the internet. Yeah. And then from that, we then start building the cloud solution, the dials, the whistles, the real-time alerts when things go wrong. And that's really transforming their business. Yeah.
Okay, Rob, I think we could probably carry on for some time digging into the different solutions. If somebody wants to contact you, how would they do that?
Either go to our website.
Yep.
So verfacil.co.uk.
Do you want to spell that?
So VER, so Victor Echo Romeo. Do this a lot. So FACIL. Okay. So Foxtrot Alpha Charlie Indigo Lima.
You do
and
that
if you actually just Google Ver Facil, or actually just Google LoRaWAN as a technology, you'll find us.
That's where you sit.
And just to go on from that, Ver Facil is the business, but the actual brand, because our vertical solutions, which could be the brand is Skentel. So
right.
So
don't spell that one.
So Skentel, it's easy. So it's
easier to say.
Skentel Housing is our social housing solution.
Okay.
Skentel Energy for all the energy side. Skentel Water for the water quality.
I'm seeing the
you see
the logic.
Yes. So Skentel is the brand. So if you actually if you either search for Skentel Water, or Ver Facil is the business, or just LoRaWAN,
we'll find you.
You will find us. Yeah.
Thanks very much, Rob. Thank you very much for joining us this evening, and watching back if you're watching this at another time. Internet of Things is not going away. It's going to grow, and businesses should be taking the opportunity really to to look at it and see how they could make savings now or take advantage of the opportunities now, and work with companies like Rob and
certainly
Ver
from
Facil.
energy.
Yeah, energy and any utility use. So yes, if you're interested in that, contact Rob. Otherwise, thank you for listening, and we'll hope to see you again.